I should mention that Knowles joins us. Hey, there you are.
How you doing?
It's good
Long
to see
time no see.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been about 12 hours.
I know. He was hanging out in those loose bars, smoking cigars and drinking. What's wrong with you?
I know. I really, ever since I read The Great Good Thing, I thought this is a man who's finally found peace and joy and serenity and morality, and I want to tear all that down by bringing it all to bars.
I want to be clear that Knowles was smoking, drinking. I was saying, go home, Michael Knowles. Your wife is waiting. I'm lying. But most importantly, you finished recording the audiobook of Another Kingdom.
That's right. And I got to tell you, this is 100% honest. It's a little embarrassing, actually. I was doing the audiobook of Another Kingdom. We were getting toward the end. There's an emotional moment. I won't ruin it if you haven't read the book or listened to the show. And I actually started crying in the booth. This is very embarrassing. I hope my wife isn't watching this. I did. It was really moving.
Good to know, yeah.
It's been over a year since I've read that book, the first season of Another Kingdom, and I think it's going to be terrific. The sound quality is really, really good, so I'm excited. And you're the only guy who ever casts me in Hollywood anymore, so that's even better.
I'm going to build up I'm going to make you stick with me, kid.
I'll make you a star.
Pre-order Another Kingdom. Go on now and pre-order the book Another Kingdom on Amazon. So I'm losing my voice, so you're going to have to talk.
Yeah.
But go on and order it. It really helps the book. It helps the book sell to people who don't listen to the show and don't know about it. If you pre-order it, it will move it up the ranks on Amazon, and that's really helpful. Please. Also, it's a great book with a beautiful cover and and some material that, if you order it now, if you pre-order it, save the receipt, and you will get all kinds of gifts, including a prequel that I wrote, which nobody else will see. So we're talking about politics at the movies. What is happening behind the scenes at the Oscars, especially with this film Green Book, which is a lovely, it's not a great film, but it's a very charming little comedy about a white driver for a black musician.
In the segregated South.
In the segregated South, yeah, and it's very, it's comedy, but it's very, it shows you the bad stuff going on. What's their beef?
Well, I will tell you, for that movie, for Bohemian Rhapsody, for other movies, they had no beef at all. Everything was great. They were doing. Green Book got Rotten Tomatoes 94% audience thumbs up, 81% critics, which is pretty good actually. They won at the Toronto Film Festival. They won the People's Choice Award. It was just a really great movie. Viggo Mortensen's great. Mahershala Ali is terrific. Yeah,
that guy. He's in everything now, but he's a really good actor.
I mean, they're both phenomenal actors. But then they had the audacity to win 3 Golden Globes Awards, including Best Picture. And now all of a sudden the film is controversial. Now you're seeing all of these hit pieces coming out accusing it of being racist. It's a film about racial harmony that is now racist because it portrays the white guy as too good and the black guy as not enough of his own man or something like that. They're making this up. They dug up some distant relatives of the singer who's portrayed in the movie to criticize the film.
Yes, that's right. That's right. The guy, remember that.
I think the main criticism was they weren't paid for the story. They weren't, So this crops up. And same thing with Bohemian Rhapsody. No one attacked Bohemian Rhapsody. It's now made $750 million at the box office, but then it won 2 Golden Globes. And now as we look forward to Oscar season, it's being attacked.
What's the problem?
Well, the problem is its original director was Bryan Singer. And then Bryan Singer, he was that director who had the sex scandal and he was accused.
Yeah.
So he was fired. He lost basically his entire career.
Yeah.
Not good enough. They used it however they could to attack this movie. This is the internal politics of the Oscars. We see American national politics in the Oscars all the time, but there's the inner working of politics here, and they are using, very ironically and really cynically, they're using Me Too and and all of the other identity politics that they've come up with to now attack these other movies. It actually reminds me of a premise in show business called Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
And Chekhov's gun says if you have a gun in the first act, it absolutely must go off in the second or third act. That's what Me Too is. Me Too. You saw the Me Too in the first act, and now it's slinging around and it's being used to kill off the competition. They used to blame Harvey Weinstein for this because Weinstein was the super producer of Hollywood. It ain't Weinstein anymore. It's all of these cynical, crass people, and frankly, it's going to kill the Oscars.
Well, what's the point though? What film are they trying to get? What's the film that's supposed to be elevated above all of them?
That's a great question. It actually isn't very clear, and the trouble is no one's seen any of these films. So obviously you've got major studios sniping each other trying to do it. But as a result of all of this ginned up, totally ridiculous political attack, the Oscars now don't have a host.
Yes.
It's actually it's killing the industry, and it's
Right.
certainly killing
Yeah.
the awards show.
Yeah.
So you now you have for the first time since 1989, which was a disastrous Oscars. That was the year that Rob Lowe did that awful musical number, and everyone hated it.
Yeah.
It's the first time since 1989 it's slated to go forward without a host because no one will take the job.
Why would you? Why would you? And first of all, nobody watches it anymore. I
Right.
mean, the films, nobody watches the films. And what they did to Kevin Hart was a disgrace. It was a disgrace to show business. It really was. I mean, this is the guy, these are the guys like Kevin Hart, whether you like him or not, right? This is the American dream, right? He works his way up. He goes into show business. It's always been for Jews, for blacks. It's always been a way up and out, and all this stuff. And then you kill him because of some tweet where he said something,
10
about
years
gays.
ago, and he made a joke.
And he made a joke. And the joke was that as a father, he didn't want his son to be gay. I mean, come on. What do you think? People sit around and go like, one thing I want for my son is that he's gay.
Well, and the other thing about it is he made a gay joke. He's a comedian who made a gay joke.
Exactly.
Show me one comedian, nay, show me one living human being
Yeah.
who has never made or laughed at a gay joke.
Yeah.
There's not a single person.
Yeah.
So obviously no comedian is going to take that job. It's the same political sniping. It's the same cynical attacks you're seeing between these movies is going on at the hosts. And I think it's time to let poor Oscar die. Nobody watches it. It's had insanely declining ratings. It was at a 44-year low last year. It was down 20% off the year before that.
Yeah.
And the film industry, for all intents and purposes, is now dead.
Everything is TV. I mean,
That's right. Everyone is watching TV. I think it's time to let this go. And it is their fault. I mean, we should be very clear. It's not the fault of new technology. It's not the fault of audiences who don't go to see the movies.
Yeah.
It is their fault. Nothing better typifies this than this Green Book sniping, these cheap identity politics, the sniping at Kevin Hart. They've committed industrial suicide.
Well, they're doing it to comedy too. I mean, which is, by the way, I hate to say it, great opportunity for conservatives if we would only take it. If we would stop with it, like everything has to be G-rated. What I love, the God King, Jeremy Boring always makes this point, the Daily Wire God King, not the God King.
Not the Egyptian God King, not the Roman, yeah.
But he makes the point that a lot of the Christians who complain with another kingdom has some cursing in it or something like that when they take off their Christian hat, they're watching Game of Thrones.
That's right.
So they only want Christianity to be poorly served by the arts. They know that the entertainment is all on the other side.
Of course.
So they're making all these political films too, and that's the other side of this. You actually went and saw Vice, which I admire.
You know that I'm a masochist.
Yeah.
I had to go see Vice for a couple of reasons. One, I suspected it would be extremely dishonest, and two, Christian Bale is a terrific actor.
He's a great actor.
Guess what? I was right about both. He gives a truly incredible performance.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
The movie is the most anti-factual movie I think that has ever been made.
Really?
It is. I'll just give you an example.
Okay.
I mean, the movie, it's so outrageously biased that it actually begins and sort of jokes about that.
Yeah.
It jokes and says, we couldn't find all the information about Cheney, so we think this is true. We did our effing best. Because Cheney is one of the most secretive men in history. Dick Cheney has been in public life for decades and decades. We know everything about Dick Cheney. We've seen his tax returns. We've seen his investments. We know he's participated in documentaries about himself. So even that, it's dishonest from the beginning. One example, they show, do you remember the Valerie Plame non-traversy?
Yes. I mean, one of the truly non-traversies of all time.
So they gin up this completely fake scandal. We know that this CIA operative, her husband wrote a wrong op-ed in the Washington Post about the relationship between Saddam Hussein seeking uranium. And then her CIA identity was leaked.
Right.
We know who leaked it. It was leaked out of the State Department. There was this conspiracy that it was leaked by Dick Cheney. No evidence of that whatsoever.
There was another one of these special counsels. They were waiting for him to get Cheney.
That's right. They couldn't do it. In the movie, Dick Cheney says, who's Joe Wilson's wife? What's her name? And Scooter Libby says, it's Valerie Plame. He says, leak it. That's the kind of stuff.
And what's interesting is they're playing this movie at the museum, which is the Museum of News in Washington. And the BDC press turned out in droves to watch this. What are you talking about on your show today?
So today, we're going to be talking about how the government shutdown is working. We're going to analyze the polls. The top line headlines say that it's really bad for Trump, but when you dig into those polls, I think it's really working for him, and it's actually achieving the strategic objective of getting people to support the wall.
Well, thank you for coming out. That's great. Thanks. It's good to talk to you, and stop smoking and drinking. That's for me. I'll take care of it.
It's done wonders for your voice.
No, that is why I'm like that. Shame on us both.